to the Stroke Thrivors podcast. I'm Dr. Brent Calhoun, your Thrive Recovery Coach, and I'm glad that you're back. In fact, I'm really glad. And I host this show for many reasons, but some that come to mind today are number one, practice. My practice. The first stroke I took out my speech center, and I am always practicing, trying to get back to what I was before aphasia hit me. So, second, because the science of stroke recovery is evolving faster than most people realize, and I want to make sure you have access to it. And third, because community matters, and nobody recovers alone, and nobody should have to. So that's why I'm on this every week, and hopefully I can reach out and connect with you. So before we jump into the episode, if you're serious about your recovery, grab a copy of Stroke Survivor First Aid Kit. And it's packed with practical tools, framework, exercises you can use right now. And you can find it, plus all the resources. You also can pick up my second book, Word Search for Stroke Recovery Book, Volume 1. Volume 1 is the easiest because soon after I was in recovery, my speech therapist had me doing word search books. And I have Volume 2 and Volume 3 already ready, and they're a little more difficult. So check them out. You can find them both at tinyurl.com/stroke-books, and check them out. And also you can, about almost 3 or 4 years ago, I realized I wasn't a survivor, I was more. So I decided I was going to be a thriver. So I commissioned people to design, and I think I've had 12 or 15 and more coming. But here's one: I'm a stroke thriver. I'm allowed to do weird things. So if you, when you have a T-shirt or a hat, or there's like 20 or 30 different ways you can have them, but people will start to ask you, what's a stroke thriver? And it gives you two opportunities. First, you can talk about your recovery and how far you've come along. And second of all, it gives you a chance to talk about prevention. And that's huge because, for example, about 8 months ago, I got a call from one of men in my church. He told me how he had a stroke, but how he realized he was having a stroke because I had given a talk about a year or 2 years ago to the church and to the men's group. And he went, he got to the hospital, he got diagnosed, and got an injection of the clot buster, and about 3 hours later, he was pre-stroke, so he was normal, and he attributed me, but I just think, thank goodness he knew about stroke prevention and what he could do about it. So check it out. If you want to find out, you can open your browser and type in tinyurl.com/stroke-designs. Check it out. All right. And if you haven't heard already, head over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel at Stroke Thrivors. That's V as in victory, O-R, S, of course. And you won't miss an episode. All right. One last thought before we dig in. Recovery isn't something that happens to you. It's something you do. So it starts with the choices you make every single day. And like something I've said before that bears repeating, real lasting change happens when your words, your body and your brain, and your actions all line up, and not once, not twice, over and over again. This repetition is where the rewiring actually happens, and it becomes neuroplasticity. So let's jump in now to this episode. After a stroke, your brain's metabolic demands shift dramatically. The recovery of neurological deficits after a stroke largely depend upon your brain's ability to reorganize its undamaged neuronal circuits and neuronal plasticity phenomena. That it happens to all of us. But what you eat directly influences how well the reorganization happens. This isn't guesswork. This is neuroscience. And about neuronutrition, more to come later in the podcast. So what is malnutrition? It's a hidden problem. And here's the challenge. Malnutrition is common after a stroke for various reasons. An impaired nutritional status is linked with poor rehab outcomes. So many thrivers face dysphagia, which is difficulty swallowing, which makes eating harder. And some experience neurological changes that affect appetite or appetite signals. So those are some simple reasons. There's others. If your nutritional status isn't optimized early, you're already fighting uphill. And my nutritional status wasn't optimized until, about 4 or 5 years after the strokes. And so, but it was an ongoing thing for you and I. So if you're malnourished at hospital admission after a stroke, you face a higher risk of worse functional outcomes and mortality. So, so when you nourish yourself strategically, you're actively changing your recovery trajectory. That's huge. So a recent meta-analysis found that blood levels of specific nutrients in stroke patients differed significantly compared to controls, people that didn't have a stroke. So your body is operating with nutritional shortfalls, and closing those gaps matters. So let's look at this. Look at your nutrition. There's 4 pillars of post-stroke nutrition. First, protein and essential amino acids, basically the building blocks. So your brain needs protein to rebuild. Protein synthesis is suppressed in the area around this that's affected by stroke. Patients who receive protein supplementation during rehab showed enhanced recovery of neurocognitive function. So a fancy way to say you just do better. So chicken, fish, eggs, legumes, yogurt, nuts. If you're a vegetarian, legumes and nuts are important, but these are construction materials for your healing and working brain. So, 2, antioxidant and flavonoids, they're for the damage control. Your stroke, or the stroke, it causes oxidative damage. So antioxidants are your brain's cleanup crew, and they were in early on the stroke after you had a stroke, and they still keep going. So fruits and vegetables rich in antioxidants and flavonoids play a crucial role in stroke recovery. So berries, dark leafy greens, carrots, beets, tomatoes, bell peppers, these fight inflammation in your brain right now. The deeper the color, the more powerful the antioxidant content. An important tip. All right, 3, omega-3 fatty acid, the anti-inflammatory agent. So fish oil reduces most of us get omega-3s from our fish oil, but there's a way to get it. But it reduces inflammation and supports neuroplasticity, the physical rewiring your brain is doing. So it does after a stroke, and does normally in everyone. So fatty acids, fatty fish, walnuts, flaxseed, chia seed, these all support new synaptic connections and help your undamaged brain circuits strengthen to compensate for the affected areas. So omega-3s are foundational to recovery. 4. Sorry. These are micronutrients, the fine tuning. So there's 3 I want to hone in on. First, the B vitamins. B group vitamins supplementation can help mitigate oxidative damage after the stroke or ongoing. B6, B12, and folate are particularly important for neurological function. Zinc. Patients with stroke have lower than recommended dietary intake of zinc. When daily zinc intake is normalized, patients show better recovery of neurological deficits. Important. And sources include oysters, beef, or if you're vegetarian, pumpkin seeds and chickpeas. So, and the last, turmeric and curcumin. Emerging research shows that curcumin can suppress post-stroke inflammation. It's available in your spice rack, so check it out and start adding it. And a lot of them, I don't really notice it per se, but my body does. So how do we understand neural nutrition? So I mentioned the term neuronutrition earlier. It's just a fancy way of saying the nutrients you eat directly affect how your brain heals and works. So normally we think of nutrition as fueling your body, giving you energy to move around, but neuronutrition is specifically about feeding their brain and your central nervous system. So after a stroke, your brain isn't just sitting around waiting to heal. It's actively rewiring itself. And that the rewiring process has specific nutritional requirements. Like rehabilitation therapy gives your brain the instructions on how to rewire. Neural nutrition gives your brain and your central nervous system, actually all of it, it gives it the raw and material to execute those instructions. So if you show up for therapy, but you're malnourished, you're trying to rebuild with empty hands. But if you're eating strategically, protein for rebuilding, antioxidants for damage control, omega-3s for reducing inflammation, you're actively supporting what your therapist is trying to teach your brain to do, whether somebody helps you or you're doing it yourself. So why timing and consistency matters. Your brain's healing window is active now. This isn't a one-time nutritional intervention. It's about consistent, strategic feeding of your recovery every single day. All right. So what this means for your rehabilitation outcome, either acute, either soon after you had a stroke, or like now, I'm 16 plus years out. Current evidence indicates that supplementation with protein, vitamins, essential amino acids, and antioxidants can enhance activities of daily living, improve balance function, and reduce neurological deficits in post-stroke patients. This translates to better mobility, sharper cognition, memory, get rid of the fog, and faster progress in therapy, either when you do it with someone or you do it yourself. So nutrition isn't supplement to therapy, it's foundational. So a word for care partners: if you're supporting a thriver, nutrition is one of the most concrete ways you contribute to the recovery. So help with meal planning, cook nutrition-dense meals, make sure protein, antioxidants, and omega-3s are on their plate consistently. So you're actively supporting your brain's ability to heal and work. All right, the bottom line, your brain doesn't stop working. It's reorganizing itself every day, whether you had a stroke or not. What you choose to eat either supports the reorganization or leaves it under-resourced. Brain healing starts at the kitchen table. So after a stroke, your brain's metabolic demands shift dramatically. So eat better, and you'll notice the difference. So what you eat directly, just to repeat, what you eat directly influences how well the reorganization happens. This isn't guesswork. It's about neuroscience and neural nutrition. So everything we talked about today, the proteins, the antioxidants, the omega-3s, the micronutrients, these are all tools in your recovery toolkit. So if you want a structured guide for putting all this into practice, check out my book, Stroke Survivor First Aid Kit. It's built for exactly this moment in recovery. So open up your browser and type in tinyurl.com/stroke-books and check it out and grab a copy. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of this community of thrivers who are doing the work, making the choices, and rebuilding our lives, your lives. So, in gratitude and grit, remember, you're a thriver. That's V as in victory, O-R.